it's okay to say no to things. My entire life I have been saying yes, almost nonstop, whether that's to help someone out, or to do something, or to even do things that I truly don't want to do at all. And I think there is a level to this, yes, where maybe it's something you want to say no to, but you know you need to do it at the same time. Like, let's say, you're working on a project for work and they're like, hey, make sure you get that done on time. You can't say no to that, obviously. But what I mean more so is people taking advantage of you. It is completely okay to say no to those people. And genuinely, it's one of the hardest things, at least for me to do, is to say no because I like to help people. I like to help people out. I like to make people's lives easier. I like to, I like to treat other people the way that I want to be treated. Where if I had something going on or I had a problem, I would hope that someone would reach out their hand and give a helping hand. But in reality, I also think that I've allowed it to go on for too long of just permanently saying yes or yep or can do or whatever it is that you say in the moment, of course. And this goes on to a even deeper level where, when I was a kid, there was some things that I definitely got into that I shouldn't have been getting into if I just said no. Like it wasn't like in the moment I was like, yeah, you know what, this sounds like fun. I was like, no, I knew I should have said no, but I still did it anyways. You know, and there just becomes a point in your life where you just don't want to say yes anymore. Where saying yes is affecting you more than you realize, and you just kind of you have to realize it. And a couple days ago, I started really, really thinking about this. Like, how many times do I say yes on a day to day basis to things that I shouldn't be doing, don't actually need to do, or is clearly just someone trying to take advantage of me being a kind person, or trying to be a kind person, I should say. And I just realized that it happens so, so, so much, you know? And it's almost ingrained into you from a young age where it's like, well, let's say your parents ask you to do the dishes or something like that, and it gets ingrained into you in micro ways like that, where it doesn't seem like something big, but eventually it becomes a larger problem. You know, a really good example is like said with the dishes thing. When I was a kid, I would just be like, yeah, whatever. But now, for example, so I live in a house with people, and I might do the dishes just because I'm feeling like, to be friendly. But there's also times where I don't put anything in there. I'm like, dude, I just got on a 7 day bender of nonstop work. Like, I haven't even been in the kitchen. I haven't even used a dish. I've barely been home. Why would I do the dishes? And that's just something that kind of translates over to a lot of things. Like at work, getting taken advantage of. I realized this like last week. I started kind of thinking about it because they kept asking me to stay over 15, 20, 30 minutes to do a task or something like that. And that's after a 10 to 12 hour shift, by the way. They would ask me to stay over that extra time. And at first, I was doing it because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I can be nice, whatever. And then I just started thinking about it. And I'm like, why am I staying over? Like, the amount that this actually affects my life is so significant. I live 15 to 20 minutes away from my work, like with how I get there. So staying that extra 30 minutes, I might as well just be there an extra hour at that point. Like I might as well literally just sit there for an extra hour and get an extra hour of pay. That so staying that extra 10, 15, 20 minutes just isn't really worth it. And this can go even to a deeper level because there's people with a lot more traumatic things than me that maybe they thought they couldn't say no to something or someone. And for that, I'm very sorry if that happened to you. I genuinely am, because there's just this method in life where people think they can take full advantage of someone. Be- I don't know why. Genuinely, I don't know why. I'd love to give a explanation, and that's what I was gonna try to do, but there's no explanation behind it besides that they're just a freak or weird, or they are on some sort of power trip, and for that I'm sorry. Whatever you're getting taken advantage for in life, I'm very sorry about that. And I just think there's a power in being able to say no. Not only say no, but act on it, right? Because you can say no, but what happens if someone forces it onto you, or something of that sort? Genuinely, I believe that maybe there's also a level that if you are going to say no, you need to back that up, you know? And that's including if you gotta fight, fight like you've never fought before. Or it's something simple like just walking out. And it sucks because genuinely, I think we've raised kind of this generation that is peer pressured very easily, or is forced to say yes to things that they don't want to say yes. And I think that that's just something that's really sad, you know? It's sad to see people taken advantage of. It's sad to see people have to do things that make them miserable in order to try to make a singular person happy. At the end of the day, saying no is a strength, and you should always try to put your own happiness over anyone else's. Because realistically, unless someone really loves you or really cares about you or something of that sort, they are not going to sacrifice their happiness for yours. And that's something that sucks, but it's true. Now, this kind of goes a little bit different if you have like a significant other that is deeply, deeply in love with you, no matter who you are, then most of the time that person would sacrifice their own happiness to make sure that you are happy if they are truly in love with you. But I think it's also easy to fall for simple tricks of people not actually loving you, but using it to manipulate you into doing things that you don't desire to do. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Peace.